Thank you for watching the Shakaama Live Show with your host, Shakaama. Okay, so I brought this topic up on Facebook and it spawned a World War III or 15, I don't know which. So here's the deal. I said, stop using of color, black people. You're not a crayon. You're not a Crayola. You're not paint by numbers. It's unfortunate that we use terms like black, white, what have you, but a lot of our so-called black leaders say of color. They think they're saying something. They really think they're getting down and being sophisticated. Well, let me tell you, I'm probably the most sophisticated person you'll ever meet. Truthfully, face to face, you probably wouldn't even recognize me because my personality is so different in person than it is here. I'm trying to appeal to people. When you get in front of me, I'm a completely different, especially if you come into my house. I turn it into Mr. Host, if you understand what the host is. It really saddens me that a lot of African-American so-called leaders, which I didn't vote for them, right? You didn't vote for them, did you? You show me one of these leaders, Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, that you voted for, and they say of color. And then when you look around, although they're talking about black issues, they're inviting Mexicans. They're inviting Asians. Let me stop you right there. Those people, they have their own organizations, and they have never invited you. Let me get my tea and put on my Kermit the Frog costume on right there. They ain't never sent out an invitation to black folk. Huh? Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you read my lips? Never has La Raza ever said, oh, come on, black people, we need you too. No, but black folks run up behind these people's butts. You see, without me cursing, it really just doesn't have the hard-hitting impact. And I use a lot of 3-year-old terms. They ran up behind their booty, sticking their head up their butts, talking about, come on, we minorities. First of all, that term is derogatory to begin with. The only time you need to even say that word is when you're dealing with statistics and you're talking about statistics. It's like the people you say, women calling themselves minorities. That women aren't a minority. How they're a minority when they're 51% of the population and control, listen to this, probably 60% of the purse in the United States. That means even though men make the money, the women still control the money. So no, women are not a minority, but they want to do that for purposes. And no black person has ever successfully used the word minority. What does success mean? That means that by using the word minority that they came out ahead financially. That's all I ever care about. All of this stuff that I talk about, that other people talk about, that I say, oh, look at what this person said. I don't care about that. I want to talk about success. I want to talk about finance, economics, political power, stuff that actually matters. I don't care if 5,000 white people run around saying the N-word. I do not care. And the response to that is, do not financially support them. This Raven Simone chick, don't watch that show. People calling the basketball games and they calling the WNBA black women nappy-headed hoes. I mean, come on. That's just so outrageous. It's not even, that's craziness. You don't support, you don't watch, but I like that sport. You can do something else. I lived with my grandmother for some time when I was a kid, like a year, something like that. They thought it would be good for the city boy to go down to the country. And my mother is far more sophisticated than most of the family anyway. And she said, so I was getting dressed one day to go visit my cousins, my kinfolk, my flesh and blood, right? And in that town, she said, you're related to about 70% of the black folks in town. I mean, we're talking about distant, all sorts of distant stuff. But blood is blood, right? And so I'm getting dressed to go see my cousins. They're around my age. I'm going to go hang out with them. And she said, oh, what are you doing? You know how black women can be really sly and say stuff quietly, but your ears perk up. Because you're like, oh, something's going on. What's going on? She said, where are you going? I said, well, I'm going to go with my cousins. Well, it seems to me you're always getting dressed and going and running up behind them. I said, but they're my cousins. And they all live over there, all together, like 12 of them. And she says, well, you don't go up running behind people. You let them come to you. So I put my house clothes back on and stayed home. And I was mad. But I understood. And then when I told them that, they said, oh, okay, you're right. We haven't come and visit you. And that's the proper thing to do. If you visit, then we need to visit you. So I established, an equal relationship and not just me running up behind them. And I noticed that black folks, even guided by these quote unquote black leaders, run up behind people. And I keep saying we need to be independent. We need to be independent. And we're not crayons. I say black. I think it connotes everything that everybody understands. White people aren't white. Black people aren't black. But we understand what we're talking about. But of color? What the hell is that? Now, people call me bougie, but I think that is a bougie terminology to describe absolutely nothing. It says nothing. People of color. Are you talking about Mexicans? Are you talking about Middle Easterns? Are you talking about black folks? Who are you talking about? And why are you always trying to include other people into your story? I'm sorry, black folks, but we have a unique position in the United States. The history of the United States and us is unique. Nobody else, not a single person, has come here. And don't tell me the Irish were indentured servants. That's not the same thing. Well, Europeans were slaves. That was over in Europe. Yes, white people put white people into slavery in Europe, and it wasn't for life. And it wasn't for life. And they weren't considered some sort of weird minority. Oh, you can call somebody a peasant, but that has nothing, not even close to saying this person is subhuman. This person is 3/5 of a man. Nobody in the world has suffered that denigration. Stop first. Don't be collective in your, we're going to call all minorities. No. For the other people, it's just a number. They just don't happen to have 120 million Mexicans. It's just a number. And slowly they are working on that number. Am I right? And let me say this. And I want you to write this down on a piece of paper somewhere, and I want you to plaster it on your refrigerator in your home. The United States today in 2015, October, is still reaping the benefits financially of slavery. That money has simply accumulated more money, quadrillions of dollars. The entire collective of the United States is still reaping the benefits of slavery. So if you, a white person, or you, a black person, ever hear anybody say, oh, slavery was 100 years ago. No, slavery's still today. Well, they just need to get over it. You need to hang yourself about the neck until such time as you are no longer breathing. Because not only is that insulting, it's not even true. It's not long ago. People are sitting up in mansions right now. Their children's 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 children. I'm talking about today. 10 generations down still will not have to work because of the money from slavery that is still in circulation right now. Oh, you're a white person and you don't have all that money? That's just you. First of all white people in the United States weren't slave owners. Every white person participated in racism. Yes, that occurred. North, south, east, and west. Don't let anybody fool you about that. The black man is unique in the United States in the history that we have suffered. I don't personally have slavery in my family, and I even double checked. I even we went to a Renaissance fair this weekend, and I checked my family name. And when I walked up, I was flipping through her book of a billion names. And so then I just finally told her the name, and she said, oh, That name is registered for centuries. And I said, but I'm black. She says, oh, that has nothing to do with it. Yes, there were black Scottish people. And I said, there was no slavery in my family. Yep, nope, you didn't have to be a slave. Don't let anybody fool you about that. And your people went to Ireland too. And there was an entire island full of black people in Ireland. In the, wait for it, as early as the 4th century. So yes, your name is very well known and very well established. Your name is registered. So she printed out the stuff for me. She told me exactly what my tartan was and everything. She says, oh, no, yeah. No slavery. And yes, you're part Scottish. Very well known. And you have a motto. And you have a crest. Not everybody has a motto. Not everybody has a crest. They can have a family name, but they're not a real family, you know. I said that to say I still identify with my black American brothers and sisters who do have slavery in their history. What's funny is my white roommate didn't have the accolades that my family name had. And he's very into being better than me. But I'm telling you, black people have a very unique history with the United States. And people are wallowing in money today, 2015, from the money made from slavery. And I'm not talking about the South. Everybody keeps confusing the South, the South, the South, the South. That's where a lot of idiots lived. And that's where a majority, slavery was legal in the entire United States. And then the northern states started passing anti-slavery laws within their territory. Even so, the Supreme Court said you cannot unbecome a slave. Even if you pass into the northern territories, even if you go into a state with 5,000 laws saying that there's no possible way that a human can own another human, we are so against that. The Supreme Court of the United States said, it doesn't matter. A slave is a slave. North, south, east, or west. You can't unbecome a slave. And there was very few successful cases where the quote-unquote slave said, I wasn't a slave. I was kidnapped. I was a free person. I was kidnapped. I am an American citizen, full-fledged, the whole 9 yards, family's rich, the whole kit and caboodle. I just happened to be black and they kidnapped me, took me down south. And there was very few successful cases where they won those. Stop using of color. We're not crayons. Thank you for watching the Shakaama Live Show.